This is the live podcast with Manuel, living in full expression.
So, in the next 5 years, I see myself at the intersection of impact and then innovation and then education reform. So, not just as someone who once held a student leadership title, but as someone who used that platform to reshape systems that once were like excluded from people like me coming from Africa.
Welcome to today's episode of the live podcast with me, your host, Manuel. My guest today is Jimmy Cotter, the Vice President, Education, Student Union, Bangor University, North Wales in the United Kingdom. Today, Jimmy Cotter is going to share with us his journey and his success story. You're welcome to this call. Jimmy, I'm so happy that you decided to be on this call with me. And just before we get started, I just needed you to let us know who you are and just tell us a brief story about your personality, and let's get started from there.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to us. Well, I'm really excited to talk to you about my story and then my victory regarding the election and everything. But first of all, I'm a postgraduate student here in Bangor University studying MS in Artificial Intelligence and then Data Science.
Wow. That's interesting. So what brought you to Bangor, of all places in the UK? Why did you decide to come to Bangor?
So I think I was looking at going to London and then Bangor because most of my friends were doing research here in Bangor. So then I was considering the two. But then upon my research, I realized Bangor is more peaceful compared to London and all that. So I decided to come to Bangor.
Interesting. So are you saying that Bangor is the best place to be, really, for you?
Okay, I won't say Bangor is the best place to be, but most certainly for me, Bangor is peaceful. It resonates with my mind and my soul and everything. So, and with my research, where I'm able to combine artificial intelligence and then biomedical science, I think it's the best for me.
Okay, so you want to tell us a little bit about this course you're studying?
So first of all, let me tell you a bit about my background and I'll introduce you into it.
All right.
So I grew up in Ghana, as a lot of people know, a community where education was seen as a ladder out of struggle, actually. So my path began in biomedical science. It was not just in lecture halls, but then in public health labs. So mostly in the Gucci Memorial Institute for Medical Research, where you were studying cancer. We were also studying hepatitis and also studying malaria. So I think I was fascinated by how science could change lives. And then, but also I saw something else. I saw that there was a gap knowledge, and then there was a gap knowledge and access. So the gap stayed with me actually. Then I discovered data science too with when growing up, and then let's say working with Noguchi in their bioinformatics labs. I think this data science idea began with the advent of the COVID-19, where we were sequencing data in Noguchi. So the potential to use AI to drive medical breakthroughs and then predict health outcomes and then transform education system, that brought me here to Bangor to pursue this program. So it wasn't just about earning a degree, actually. It came with a purpose. I wanted to grow and then I wanted to lead and then to give back in all the ways I could that truly matters.
That's quite deep. Talking about giving back, how can you see yourself using this study to really give back to the society?
So after this study mostly, and then after maybe doing a research in PhD, I intend to build a cancer research genome program in University of Ghana and then collaborate with it KNUST. So that it will help people. It will be like a pioneer, something that will help students, give them a chance to do research that will bridge AI and data science with biomedical science.
That's a huge one. So how do you intend to achieve this huge goal you're setting for yourself?
So mostly with research, you have to maybe do a PhD. So you intend to pursue a PhD program here in the UK or maybe in the US, and after definitely go into academia and research, look for funding, and then by God's grace, be able to get there.
Yeah, that's being positive. So what challenges have you faced being here as a student and maybe back home, especially being an immigrant coming into the UK, having this big dream that you want to achieve? What challenges have you faced so far before coming here, and even while you're here, what are the challenges that you have faced, and how were you able to navigate these challenges and still keep yourself focused on this dream of yours?
All right, so Coming to Bangor was like starting over. New culture, new system, there's new expectations. So as an international student, I had to learn really fast. I remember walking into my first career session and then realizing how difficult it is to get a job here without UK experience. Sometimes job demanding driver's license for jobs that don't even require driving. It didn't matter how skilled or eager you were. It felt like a wall actually. So, but I also saw the beauty of this university. I saw the dedication of the staff, especially in my department, computer science and engineering, the support from some department, and then the resilience of some of the students. I got involved and then I connected. I also listened and then I learned. And through that, I found like my voice. That's what I was saying.
Really? Okay, so being an international student in a place like Bangor, and with what you just mentioned, I know one of the things that being in a new environment is the language barrier, then cultural differences. So how did you find yourself getting around all this being in Bangor?
So I think for me, I had friends who were already here in Bangor, so I was fortunate enough they were able to introduce me to some of a few things and where to pass the language, what to do. So things became quite easier for my end.
Oh, that's interesting. I remember the first time I came to Bangor, you heard the things like love, my love, how are you, love? The first time I heard that, I was like, what are they saying? You know?
Yeah,
And you could actually see that some languages, some things, some terms used here,
yeah,
you might not be used to those terms,
yeah.
and you just come in and hear those terms, and then you hear things like my mate and all
My
that. So
mates, yeah.
you just discover that these are new to you and you need to
You
just wrap
too.
wrap, wrap yourself around it. So tell me, Jimmy, being here as a student, what particular challenge did you face being a student also in Bangor? As being a student here, what challenge did you face and how were you able to also overcome such challenges?
All right, so I'll tell you the challenge and also kind of tune it to how it inspired me to actually run for the VP education position.
Amazing.
There was a moment during my first month here, that was around, I think, January. So a classmate told me that they were applying for 15 jobs a week, 15 jobs on Indeed, and still getting rejected. Some were even applying for 50 jobs, some were applying for 60 jobs and all that because they were actually rejected because they didn't have UK experience. They were top of our class, very good programmers here, highly skilled, but then they were unseen. So that moment struck me because I saw that it wasn't just about jobs, it was about fairness. Was somebody coming from Africa to this place will definitely not have UK experience, but maybe the person is skilled enough for the position. So it was about access. It was about rewriting the story for students who come from different paths. So I decided to run not because I thought I had all the answers. No, of course, definitely. I'm not God. But because I knew I had to be a part of a solution. I don't know whether you get me.
Yeah.
So someone had to speak up for the students whose stories weren't being heard. So I chose to be that someone. Yeah.
That's a huge challenge you're taking up, Jimmy. So, I was about getting to what inspired you actually to run, and you have given me just a part of it of why you ran for this position. Now, looking at what you just mentioned, and you want to create change, what kind of change are you looking at creating? Now, congratulations to you for winning this. A whole lot of diverse people, you were able to win this position. You want to tell me a bit about this change you really want to curse? What is like your manifesto in this position?
Alright, so incredibly excited about three major initiatives actually. So the first one on my manifesto was the Bangor Work Readiness Certification. So it's a structured program that aims to train students, to connect them with real world mentors, and to give them a recognized badge of employability that UK employers will trust. So when they say experience, we say we've got that. So it's kind of a certification program where if we want to collaborate with Bangor University and then advocate to talk to local employees here in Bangor, and then there's going to be a certification program. So then if you have this certification, that means it waives the UK experience criteria.
That's huge. So you want to do this in collaboration with other agencies or just with Bangor University?
So talking to partner with other agencies like the local some of the local employers, some of the other agencies, and then with Bangor University, talking with them, and then like just start the pipeline phase. Yeah.
That's huge. So what's the second one? You said three things now. So what's the second
Yes.
one?
And then the second one is to create a Bangor Work Connect portal. So obviously there are Bangor actually organizes job fairs here in Bangor, but most of these job fairs are just one day events. So we want a year round work portal. So we are gonna think of it like a LinkedIn that meets student union. So students will be able to connect all year round, not just one day, all year round for part-time jobs, for internships, for skills workshops, and in one place that is accessible 24/7.
Would this just be for people in Bangor, or is it going to be all Wales, or including
So
England?
this will mostly be for students here in Bangor University for the first phase. Yeah.
Oh, really? So that means you need to have your student's ID to get
Your
access
student
to it.
ID. Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay. So give me an idea how this is going to work. How is this portal going to be like? Can you give me an
So
idea?
this portal, we are going to train a model. So a model like an app, and then we train a model where we connect local employers with students. That they'll be able to connect and interact with students live for 24/7, not like just a one day fair that is mostly done here in Bangor.
Okay, so how is this going to be sustainable? Because you just have few months to stay here. Do you intend to, because of this project, stay longer? Or how sustainable will these projects be?
So yes, of course. So I intend to stay longer here in Bangor University because I would also be looking at maybe doing a PhD here in Bangor University. So as for staying longer here, we will definitely be staying longer here in Bangor University. So then we start talking with the Bangor University to kind of advocate for this Bangor Work Connect portal.
That's amazing. So back to the question about sustainability. How do you want to get this thing sustainable, and also to look beyond you? Is it something that is just going to end with you, or do you have a modality to make it to be sustainable in such a way that with or without you, this initiative can thrive?
So that's a good question. For sustainability, we've already started talking to some of the leaders who are responsible for employability here in Bangor University, and then they think it's a very, very good idea. Would definitely be passed on to other leaders that will come on board. As for sustainability is good, and then it will not just be with me, it will be passed on, it will transcend to the future incoming leaders that are coming here.
No, that's a good one. So it means that before someone can be qualified to be on that platform, you must have done the skilled qualification certification, right?
Yes,
So
exactly.
that will serve as your criteria to be on the platform together with
Yes.
your student ID or student details. That's beautiful. You are listening to the live podcast with Manuel. So you want to tell me the third one?
So the third one is accessible transport and then employment reform. So I want to work with local businesses here in Bangor University to challenge the idea that you need a UK driver's license for non-driving roles. So that like one can change alone could kind of unlock hundreds of job opportunities because there are a lot of jobs here that don't require driving necessarily, but they require UK drivers experience. So we would want to talk to local employees with Bangor University's help so that we will challenge the idea that of with the UK driver's license for the non-driving job roles here so that people can be able to get jobs easily here in Bangor, mostly students who want part-time jobs here.
That's good. Okay, so I hope you know this is actually like a general rule or general regulation. For some of us who came from Africa, our driving method is quite different. How do you think that would also affect this?
Okay, so first of all, we are not neglecting the fact that a driver's license here in the UK is very important, but we are looking at people that just came here to Bangor who are looking for part-time jobs that don't require driving
Oh, okay.
necessarily.
Yeah.
Yes, don't require because most of the jobs don't require driving, just walking distance, but then they still need the driver's license. Though that's where the problem is, and that's where we want to tackle.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's amazing. So that means would you want to take a stock of some of these jobs that require this, not necessarily the people driving, so you want to approach them and give them the reason why they could allow others to work, people to work without. Yeah,
Yes,
oh,
yes,
that's fine.
exactly.
That's fine. So looking at these 3 points that you have mentioned, how does it relate to the position you won as a VP education?
All right. So VP education mostly kind of wants the concern of the students for student voice to be heard. That kind of directly impacts academics. People are working part-time jobs where their time for academics is replaced with working, and then they don't even get time to study. So this impacts studies here. Their main purpose here is to study. And then they don't get part-time jobs to study, and then they don't get access to these kind of flexible jobs and all that to be able to pay their tuition. Even their mental health is at risk, and it affects their academics and it affects their education in general.
Okay. So what you're actually looking at is where people can
Yes,
be able to,
exactly.
when they are done with school or while they are still in school, they're able to also be self-sustained, if that's what you're
Yes,
trying to say. Oh, okay.
yes, most, yeah.
That's beautiful. So for somebody who is coming to Bangor or somebody who is looking to apply to Bangor University, what word would you tell such a person if the person is considering should I come to Bangor or not? What would you say to the person who is making such
Okay.
decision to even think of coming to Bangor?
Alright, so what I'll say is that Bangor is definitely amazing. It's in Wales. You see, Wales is poetic. From the mountains to the seas, there's a peacefulness here that feeds the soul. But what I truly love is the pride in the language and in the heritage. So I definitely, the person would want to love the pride in the language. The person should look at the pride in the language, the Welsh language, and then their heritage, especially the Welsh language. It taught me something that identity matters. Over the years, all I've seen here has taught me that identity really matters. Abango, they should, most importantly, I want every student to feel the same pride in their story. Whether you speak Welsh, whether you speak Tree, whether you speak Hindu, Urdu, Igbo, this university can be a place where cultures don't just mix, they empower each other.
Really interesting. So, talking about identity, I think one of the things about culture is that it unites people together. So, in your position as a VP education, how do you see yourself? Because Bangor University is a university that has a whole lot of people coming from diverse places, diverse culture, diverse nationality. You mentioned it.
Yeah,
The
that is.
VP, how do you see yourself integrating this in all your activities as the VP?
So as a VP, we will be definitely organizing fairs where students can come together, cultural fairs and identity fairs and programs where students from a lot of places can come together and then show some of their cultures and some of their talents here. Yeah, so that's what we'll be doing, not just like in the classroom, but someone who can listen and then be able to learn and then lead across a lot of cultures. Demands deeper integration, not just socially or anything, but then structurally as well. So we would kind of bridge between the international students and then the home students as well. Not just for international students, actually. We bridge both of them between faculties, between student voices to learn Welsh phrases, provide subsidized Welsh classes, attending societies outside some of their backgrounds and all that, integrating all this thing together, who they really are and what they've come here, learning about everything about Wales and then the Welsh culture, and also teaching them their home culture as well. Yeah.
Wow, I really like the you are enjoying the culture here, especially the fact that your role is not just on the surface level, it goes deeper and you're just thinking outside just yourself. You're looking at everybody in this space. And that's something I must really commend you. So I want to ask you to share a particular story about you being in Bangor that resonates with you, particular experience about this place that really you've said some lovely things about how Bangor is a natural place, is a poetic place. So can you
Yeah.
tell me something that really
So,
struck you, a story?
yes. Yes. So during my campaign,
Yeah.
I knocked. I actually went to most of the students' apartments here in Bangor. I knocked on a dorm doors, you knocked on some of the doors, and then sometimes I was ignored, sometimes I was stared at like I didn't even belong here. It wasn't always easy. I'm black and then I'm African. Sometimes that alone made people hesitant to even talk to you, to look you in the face. But I kept showing up because I wasn't campaigning for popularity. I was campaigning for change. Every no fueled me to fight harder for the years that mattered. And then that years came from students who believed in something better.
Wow. So talking about this, I was about getting to that question. Being that you're an immigrant, you're
Yeah.
Africa, you're black, how did you manage? You just mentioned part of it. So how were you able to fought through to be able to win this position? Because I know this is just beyond the surface. You went through a lot. You just mentioned one part of it. So can you just give me a picture or just a story of how you this more of these challenges and how you were able to navigate them?
The most important, see, when you are black here and you are campaigning, for such a position, it's not easy at all. It's not easy. People looking at you, black, people looking at you, African, is not easy. But I kept going on because I was, as I said, was not campaigning for popularity. I kept doing it because I knew students who believed in my vision, and then I had to do it for them. It was not about me. That is why I had to keep pushing. So that it kind of fueled me. I actually had a lot of no's, and I've already like a lot of bike. I kept on, instead of backing out and all that, I kept on pushing hard, fighting hard for this because I knew it really mattered to a lot of students who kind of believed and it was not about me. So that was what was in my mind. This is not about me. It's for students. It's for people who come from far distance and then who want their voices to be heard. So I was actually thinking about them, and that pushed me. That's what helped me sail through this challenge here.
That's quite deep. I know how challenging that can actually be, really. But the good thing is you have actually proven that anybody can actually be anything. And it also tells us that where we are is if you merit it, you can be there. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
So I believe that if you really merit that position or you push yourself and you don't give up, you actually get what you want. And that is actually your testimony right now, or what we see
Yes.
having somebody like you all the way from Ghana being the
All
VP
the from Ghana.
education, and I'm sure your parents and your siblings, your wife will be so proud of you knowing that you got such a feat.
Yes, obviously. Most importantly, always looking at the grace from God Almighty, because it was actually not my strength. It was
Yeah.
just God, 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 God from the.
You are listening to the live podcast with Manuel. All right, Jimmy. So I want to ask you this question. Now that you're here, I'm going to ask you two questions. The first one is looking at your teenage Jimmy now. What would you say to your teenage Jimmy right now, that with what you have achieved right now, what would you look back and tell your junior Jimmy to say, Jimmy at 19 or Jimmy at 18 or Jimmy at 17? What advice would you give to Jimmy at 17 and 19 right now?
So think that's a very reflective and powerful kind of question. So to my past self, actually, any students stepping into a new place, I would say don't wait to feel like you belong before you start showing up as a leader. Yeah. Don't wait to feel like you belong to start showing up as a leader. Because there were moments where I kind of hesitated a bit, doubted, and then felt invisible in the crowd. But I've learned that impact doesn't wait for permission. You kind of create your space, you kind of value your own self, your legacy, not by blending in, but by standing up. So I'll advise my old self, my 19, as you are saying, to be brave enough to care deeply. That is one. To be disciplined enough to follow through, to speak up. Even if your accent shakes, like me, Ghana accent, because the truth you carry might be the change that someone else is waiting for. Yeah, the truth you carry might be the change that someone else is waiting for. So you are never just a student, you are a future leader. So you act like it, you lead it, and then never apologize for dreaming big.
Wow. That's huge. When I saw your name, I said, I remember there's the United States former president who is Jimmy Carter. So I'm sure when people hear Jimmy Carter, they want to think, are you going to be talking to the former president of the United States? So that's quite big. So you want to tell me, do you have somebody, before I ask you the other flip of the question, do you have somebody that inspired you growing up or even at this stage of your life? Do you have anybody that is like an inspiration to you?
Okay, of course. As you mentioned, Jimmy Carter was named after Jimmy Carter, the former president of the United States. And I've read almost all his books.
What?
He kind of inspires me because he's a man of peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a man of peace, and then he thinks about other people. So like he inspires me.
So you embody Jimmy Carter right now.
Exactly.
All right. So who else is in the list of those that inspire you so much?
So and then my bishop too in Ghana, Peace Chapel International, Bishop Bright Michael Adolfo, also inspires me a lot. Yeah.
I'm sure he's very proud to know you're here.
Yes, he is.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Now, let me ask the other flip of the question now. So, Jimmy, you're here now. Let's say in the next 2 to 3, 5 years, what do you see? Where do you see yourself? What do you see yourself accomplishing with life and with good health? What accomplishing and doing for the society? Because I see that you're a community person and you have so much to offer.
So, in the next 5 years, I see myself at the intersection of impact and then innovation and then education reform. So, not just as someone who once held a student leadership title, but as someone who used that platform to reshape systems that once were like excluded from people like me coming from Africa. So, I see myself helping to design smarter, fairer educational ecosystems here where an international student isn't overlooked because they don't have UK experience, and where academic excellence is supported by practical and inclusive policies. So I hope to be leading or advising an education strategy. Yeah, that's one. And then maybe possibly in a policy kind of way, in an ed tech kind of way, or an international development. So mostly using data and then empathy and experience to close opportunity gaps, most importantly, especially for underrepresented students like myself. But beyond the titles, I want to be known for what changed because I showed up. Whether that's a mentorship program that grew beyond Bangor University or a career path that kind of opened for thousands of students, I'll measure my success by the ripple effect of courage, collaboration, and conviction.
Did you memorize it? Because you were saying this so passionately. I'm just wondering.
So that's one thing. When I talk to people, maybe during my campaign, they're always like, "You talk passionately. You talk passionately." I honestly, yeah, I just speak, because I love what I do, and then I have vision for students here in Bangor University.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. I'm so excited talking to you today, and it's so amazing.
Thank you.
And my prayer and my desire is that your tenure, you're going to achieve so much and all that you have said, and that you have all this, and it's going to benefit the society and the community and everyone in Bangor University and even beyond. And people can also look back and learn from you. All right. So one last thing. What do you have to say last for the people listening to you right now? What last word do you have to those that are listening to you right now?
So, all right. So for the people listening to me, I know this position or this win is not for me, honestly, but it's for them. So because it's for them, and then because they believed in the vision I have for them, we are already celebrating now, but tomorrow we work really hard, and then their voices would definitely be heard.
Thank you very much, Jimmy, for being on this call today with me. And I look forward to talking with you. Maybe when you now start fully, I'm sure I'm going to get in touch with you again to ask you your first 100 days. How has it been? Your first 50 days, how has it been? But I must say, you are such an inspiration, and I wish you all the best in your position. Thank you so much.